Shout out to our own, I guess this episode, Ken Porter, for making that awesome intro here. Welcome into the Purple Pod, the best K-State podcast out there. I'm Steve.
I am Ken. Cats, 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 cats. Let's go, baby! Woo! Let's go! Yes! Let's go!
We're talking K-State's 41-0 win versus Houston yesterday. As you can see, we are pretty pumped up. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends. We're getting really close to 100 subscribers. We're putting out more content, more shorts, more podcasts. We're having a great time here on the Purple Pod. Wouldn't you say, Ken?
This is the best place to be on a Sunday. That's all I'm saying. It's either this or at the Chiefs Stadium. It's one or the other. It's like either Purple Pod or Chiefs Stadium.
There we go. We got one person joining us. Robbie Schultz, what's going on? I was the closest, called it a shutout. There you go. He did say 55-0. So
but hold on. Who had the closer points?
Now we're gonna get into that. I was actually the closest on the points for us.
But
the
point spread.
Sure. And we'll get into that here in a minute.
We all get trophy. You get a trophy. You get a trophy. We're like the
I want my participation ribbon, man. All right, let's get into this. K-State won yesterday, 41-0. Kenny.
How many times are we gonna do this?
I got to hang out with you yesterday in person. Make sure you guys check out our vlog that we did if you guys are watching this on a rewind. All of that. Make sure you guys check out that vlog. Him and I got to hang out for at least half of the game. You got to go with your work. I have season tickets with my mom. We had a great time. Kenny, give me your initial thoughts on K-State's drubbing shutout win versus Houston yesterday.
Yeah, man, I got to go. I got press box seats, which was pretty cool because my company provides the milk there and and ice cream to the press box, and so we get to do some stuff up there, and they give us some perks or whatever. But I was also able to roam around and hang out with Steve, like you guys, like he was just saying. I kind of lost my voice because I was definitely cheering on the Cats pretty hardcore yesterday. And then I went to a chili crawl later because it was freaking cold yesterday, man.
Yes,
we knew that was going to play a factor in yesterday's game. And boy, did it ever. But other than that, we got to, as we were walking to go meet up with Kobe Savage's dad, we saw Coach Tang. We said what up to him. He walked right by.
I believe he was with Yurik. I think that's how you say his name, Maligi. I believe that's who was with him. It did not look like Jareem Dowling to me, but we definitely saw Coach Tang.
Yeah, he walked right by us.
He did.
And I think you were like, yo, that was Coach Tang. I was like, oh, shoot, that was him. Because I was just like booking it to go see Dayon Savage. We met up with him. We actually
I'm gonna try to pull a photo of it right here.
Pull up a photo. We actually stopped. We actually stopped and watched Seth Porter catch the get his first touchdown from Avery to him. That was super cool. We stopped, we saw that, and then we walked over because he was kind of across the field from where you were sitting.
Yep.
And it was super cool to see him. We took photos with him. We even did like a little video with him there. It was super, super cool. He's such a nice guy, and he's also a freaking beast. That guy is like super tall.
He's a big dude, and he's a great promoter. Like, he asked some random guy to take our picture, and he told that guy to subscribe and watch the Purple Pod. That was freaking awesome, dude.
Yo, shout out to him, man. He's a real one. He is a real one.
Absolutely. So my initial thoughts are I'm not super surprised by the score. I'm a little surprised by the spread, and we'll get into that. We did, like you said, feel like the weather was going to play a factor, and it definitely felt like the weather played a factor with those Texas boys. And you said it in the preview of the game. You know, Houston was on a high for back-to-back weeks versus West Virginia at home, Texas at home. Could they keep that high for another game going on the road in the cold? And obviously, they could not. They could not hang with K-State. K-State was dominant from start to finish. I mean, you were sitting right next to me when the coin toss happened, and they deferred to the second half, and you and I were like, bad decision, bro. Bad decision. K-State scored
Every single game other than OSU, K-State has come out and scored on the opening drive.
Yeah,
every single game.
6 touchdowns out of those 7. In K-State did that. They only faced some adversity with that 3rd and 15, but they got screen pass that our guy, DJ Giddens, after every single play, after every time DJ Giddens touched the ball, Kenny would turn around and be like, that's my guy, DJ.
Yeah, no, every single, I'm like, just give it to him, dude. Whenever DJ's wearing purple, man, it's just like, it's magic out there. It is, he just is so good when he's at home. I don't understand it. He is unbelievable. God dang, my voice is really struggling. You might have to take over most of the show, Steve. I was cheering the Cats on, man. I was all out. I was sitting in the sky deck watching from the top view, just shouting down like, let's go Cats. Just screaming out my heart, man. It was so freaking cool, man, to be there. Even though it was ice cold. It was ice cold out there, but I still had a blast.
We need to do one of these episodes sometime from your house or my house, because I mean you're literally like 4 minutes away from where I live. that is we probably should have done it today because our girls are at the movie. So
God dang it! Why did we think of that?
Why did we not think of that?
They're watching the dang Taylor Swift movie.
They are. Our bad on the freezing internet here. It's Kansas internet, but even Heartland Sports, Pete Mundo's got some internet issues. So we're doing our best, man. We are doing our best. That's for sure. Okay. Before we get into
we're not getting into it yet.
We are getting into it.
Okay.
Because something came out today, and I wanted to ask your opinion on it. I have very, very, very distinct issues with what came out today.
Let's hear it, man.
The rankings came out today.
Now, okay. Yeah.
The AP poll has not come out yet. All we have is the coaches poll. Who is ranked? KU. Who is not ranked? K-State, Oklahoma State.
I don't even care.
I personally feel that is a slap in the face. Talking to you before we went live, you said, I believe, that K-State needs to keep that chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, I do not care.
This week.
So. I do not care about it. Does at the end of the day, rankings don't matter. It's what's on the scoreboard that matters. That's all that matters.
K-State. Go ahead. Sorry.
Rankings do not matter. What matters is us focusing on the next game, and the next game, and winning each week from here on out. Because at the end of the day, it's the scoreboard that matters. You could predict all the. You know what drives me insane is that these other conferences they think so highly of these other conferences because they're from the South. Whatever. I think the Big 12 is arguably one of the toughest conferences, if not the toughest conference right now. It is so dynamic. Anybody can win. I mean, not anybody can win, but it's tough to win. It is really, really tough to win. You saw Oklahoma struggle against UCF. KU comes out, they beat them in a pretty good game, I suppose. Texas Longhorns, did they have a bye week this week?
Last week, yes, they did.
Yeah, well, yeah, last week, yeah. Well, Houston came out and they took it to the Longhorns. It was a close game. They actually got robbed on their ball placement. Yeah. What a joke of a poll. I'm not here to debate on the poll. I think the poll is whack, but I don't really give. At the end of the day, I don't really care. I really don't care. A poll is a poll. What matters is the scoreboard.
Absolutely. And we're going to get an AP poll coming out later today.
K-State never gets the respect they need.
No, we don't. We do not. And
deserve.
There is a more important poll coming out, I think, on Tuesday. Is the first one of the season. It's a college football playoff poll. And that matters way more than the AP or the coaches poll. I do feel like I feel like it's a slap in the face. More so, I feel like for Oklahoma State, who beat K-State and KU, for them to not be ranked and K-State to not be ranked, while teams like North Carolina is still ranked, like teams like USC is still ranked, and Oregon State, I think K-State would beat almost all these teams right here. I mean, K-State
What's going to happen? What's going to happen if Oklahoma State beats OU and K-State beats Texas?
Phenomenal.
What's going to happen?
Phenomenal for the Big 12. Phenomenal for the Big 12 for sure.
Yeah, but you know what these people say though? They say this is horrible for the conference. KU beating OU is horrible for the conference. Man, it's horrible.
Because all they care about is Texas and Oklahoma.
And all they care about is undefeated teams. It's like that's not what determines the strength of your team. What if you're in a conference and you lost like 3 games, but then you go against an undefeated team in another conference and they absolutely destroy them? Being undefeated does not mean that you're stronger than everybody else. It could mean that everybody else you're playing is weaker. Like, I don't know. I don't give a crap about polls, man. It's whatever.
All right, let's start getting into this. We talked about our initial thoughts, the rankings. We're going to get into this game. We're going to do a deep dive into this game here. And we're going to do
not much of a deep, it's not really deep dive, it's pretty self-explanatory. They came out, they got their face smacked. I mean, it was like up and down, like they couldn't do anything. How many yards did
they ended up with 208 total yards. 200.
How much?
We're going to talk
how many
about
of those yards?
K-State defense first. What's up?
Hold on. How many yards of that 208 was garbage time yards when we threw out like our 4th string, 5th string?
I was listening to the Pete Mundo show this morning. It was his like replay of his show from last night. And he said something that I didn't even think about. K-State, the longest drive they gave up against Houston, 31 yards. That was the longest drive Houston had the entire game.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The entire game. I don't know how much of that was in garbage time. Probably a decent part of that. But we're talking about the K-State defense, man. K-State defense lit them up, held Houston to 3 of 14 and 3rd down, 0 of 4 and 4th down. Got a couple turnovers forced. Their quarterback was averaging almost 300 yards a game. How many yards did he have? 95. Less than 50% completion percentage, 15 of 33. They did have 100 yards, 113 yards rushing, 25 minutes of possession. Here's the full stats right over here. Here's a better look at them right here as I do my best to show that off there. K-State dominated twice as many first downs, basically twice as many yards, half as much turnovers. K-State absolutely dominated this game. And obviously the K-State offense did well, but the K-State defense holding Houston to 208 total yards was super, super impressive.
Yeah, dude, not only just holding them there, but we gave them no opportunities to score. I mean, actually, technically,
never. Yeah.
Avery did give them an opportunity to score.
He did give them an opportunity.
But our defense bailed him out. Now, say what you want. He's not perfect. Like he's still a young quarterback, and I think we forget about that sometimes. But we're not talking about the offense yet. The defense is really what was amazing. I said to Steve, I was like, dude, the defense bailed out Avery there big time there because they could have had a chance to score a field goal. But I don't think at any point in the game we ever thought that they were going to score a touchdown. It just wasn't in the cards. And man, I gave Houston a little bit more credit on their receivers and not enough credit to our secondary. Dude, our secondary from the start of the season to now has looked absolutely, it's like night and day. It's unreal, dude. Like,
it's completely different. I agree. And part of that is them switching the safety spots, but they're also getting more comfortable, kind of like the offensive line. Like the improvement from the offensive line and the DBs has both been very well. Like there's a finance term for it when it's like it's exponential. It's been an exponential growth for the DBs and the offensive line for sure.
Yeah, and everybody, it's just like everybody's clicking in the secondary, dude. You've got Keaton Garber who's improving every single week. Jacob Parrish has literally not had a bad game. I don't think he has ever had a bad game. Kobe Savage, he also is like the captain, the leader of that secondary, and he hasn't had a bad game. You had Who am I? Who am I? The guy that who's the one that scored? Who got the interception?
Will Lee.
Will Lee. He is looking. He's like our. I would say he's looking like one of the best defensive backs that we got. And then Marquise Siegel making lots of tackles. Jay Clifton. Our whole dude. This was the highlight of the game. Was the defense? It was just. They couldn't do anything, and their strength is throwing the ball. That is what they're known for, and they could not get. I mean, they got like one pass off, one decent pass, where it was like right on the sideline. I think I was sitting with you.
When actually, that was actually a really nice catch. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a good catch. He tiptoed almost out of bounds.
Yeah, the 25-yarder right there, right in front of the K-State bench.
That was it. Yep. That's all they had the whole game. And you think to yourself, it's like, wow, this is what this team is known for. And their offense is actually not bad. Their passing offense is actually pretty decent in amongst the Big 12. Did we shut that down?
We did.
You could call it all you want. You could say, oh, well, it was cold. Oh, you can make all the excuses you want. Oh, they were coming off of a really horrible week before. It's their first game outside of Texas. You make all the excuses you want. This is what you're known for, and you couldn't even get one off. You got one off. I mean, and 0 touchdowns. I mean, they had their opportunity. And I talked about this actually. I was watching, I think, Locked On Cougs or whatever. It's like the Locked On Houston YouTube channel. They were going live last night, and I was in the chat, and I was just like, Houston had their chances. They had the third down when they were on defense to stop K-State the first drive. They had their opportunity right after the Avery fumble, and both times, I mean, they couldn't do anything. They definitely did not seem like they were locked in, no pun intended. For sure, like K-State defense, they came to play. They made Houston one-dimensional. I mean, they ran the ball only 26 times all game. Their quarterback was running for his life. He really was. The K-State D-line was all over him. Now, they may have not got like a ton of sacks. I think they only got like 2 or 3, or maybe even just one with Matlack. But they were pressuring him all game. Clandy was bringing up the blitzes, man. He was going man coverage almost the entire game. And that's when you make an offense make mistakes. When the quarterback is under pressure, K-State's defense did a heck of a job there. They kept forcing Houston into 3rd and longs, which is what you want on defense. That's why they were 3 for 14 on 3rd down. It was a very impressive performance from the K-State defense, which, going back to the Texas Tech game, 9 consecutive quarters, they've only given up 3 total points. I don't even know how you would, what is that, a third point per quarter, basically? Like, that's insanely impressive. 0 touchdowns allowed in 9 consecutive quarters. The K-State defense has been amazing, and you love to see that going into a huge game next week. We'll do a whole preview of that. Going into a huge game versus Texas, who has their backup quarterback most likely playing. I like our chances in that game, and we'll talk about it later. But K-State's defense is killing it right now. You said a ton of names. I want to mention another one, Desmond Purnell. He's been a baller in back-to-back weeks, and even going back to the UCF game, he's got a fumble recovery in 2 of those games. He's got a couple sacks, interception. I mean, he has been killing it at the outside linebacker position. Yeah. D-line's been killing it. Brendan Mott, we've not really talked about. He had a big play last week. He had a lot of pressure yesterday. Overall, this K-State defense is playing lights out, and you love to see it after the early struggles this year for sure. Shout out to Clanderman, man. He has really put together an amazing game plan week in and week out. I mean, what is the stat that like a lot of people are putting out about in the last 9 quarters, we've only let up 3 points?
Yep.
That's crazy, man. That is wild to me. Like, I mean, you got to give it to him. That's all defense right there. Now, I mean, we'll get into the offense as well, because you can't win games just shutting down the other team. But because, I mean, our offense is actually elite as well. I mean, I think this team should be ranked. It is definitely it's definitely disrespectful seeing that we can put up these kind of points against these teams. It is a little disrespectful. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah,
I get what you're
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't really care because at the end of the day,
scoreboard, right? And there's that video of the backup receiver Lloyd, I think is his last name. I can't remember his first name. And TCU's tight end is coming off the field talking trash, and he just points to the scoreboard, and the TCU guy goes crazy because at that point it was like 34-3, and yeah, I mean you nothing matters more than the scoreboard for sure. And as long as K-State keeps winning and dominating, they're going to get ranked. It feels like the only time you can get ranked is if you beat Oklahoma or Texas, and we have our opportunity this week for sure. And and like I said, you love to see that K-State's playing their best right now, going into the BTN next week. Let's turn our attention to the offense. K-State scored, I think, on their first 4 possessions of the game, which were all in the first half. K-State was up 28-0. Will Howard started, I believe, 12 of 12. Finished. Let me zoom in here for everyone here. He finished 15 for 17, 164 yards, 2 touchdown passes, one to Garrett Oakley with the first touchdown of the game, his first touchdown of his career, and then another touchdown later, I think, into a cover 2 zone defense to our guy, Phillip Brooks, which you wanted to talk about here in a little bit. But this is a K-State offense that is improving every week. Avery Johnson got in there, though they did mix it up this week compared to last week. Again, I personally felt like, playing Avery more was the right decision, and it is still going forward. Part of that, though, is it's making Will Howard pick up his game for sure. The running backs are dominating. Again, DJ Giddens, 13 carries, 96 yards. I think he had another 25 yards receiving on 2 catches. He had a pair of touchdowns. Trayshawn Ward, 10 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. K-State ran the ball 46 times for 179 yards, only 3.9 yards per carry. But, I mean, they had a bunch of really long drives, clock-sustaining drives, dominated time of possession. This K-State offense is super, super impressive right now. Wouldn't you agree, Kenny?
Dude, it almost felt like every time we got the ball, it was like, well, we're going to score on this drive. It just felt like that every time because you just couldn't stop it. I mean, like you said, we had one drive. We were down. It was like 3rd and 15. And then Giddens just takes off, gets the first down. That was massive. I was actually sitting with you there.
You were right in front of me.
Yeah. And then as the time went on, I went up and saw the game from the sky deck. I saw the big passes that Will Howard threw to Brooks, right in the center, really like showing that he can stretch the field. I mean, and credit goes to Brooks there for making that insane catch. Super, super good, man. It was it's amazing to see Will Howard back on top. I didn't see quite a lot of running. I mean, he did get some good runs in when it worked and it looked good, but it was all about throwing, which that kind of threw me off.
I mean, back-to-back games. Look at this. Look at his QBR, 94.8. Back-to-back games, 90+ QBR. And the game before, Avery Johnson scores 5 touchdowns. Will Howard has not thrown an interception in 3 consecutive games, which is what you love to see after the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, I think this little bit of competition with Avery coming in has real, and I don't know if you want to call it competition. I think it's what the Cats needed, and it's what Will needed to get his focus back, to get that chip on his shoulder. And I also think it kind of relieves a lot of pressure off of Will now, because when Avery comes in, everybody's expecting big things, and when it doesn't happen, everybody's like, "Oh man, what's going on with Avery now?"
Right.
But you're like, all right, then Will goes in. It's like, well, okay, like Will's back in. Let's see what he can do. And he just goes out and plays really well. And it's like there's not a lot of pressure on Will now to overperform. We just go back to the way Will was last year, where we're like, okay, Will, just get out there. Let's do the best you can do. Let's see what you can do out there. not this like, all right, Will, I want to see like big plays like you did last year. I want to see you win in every game. I think it's really good to see Will in this zone.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you look at his QBR right here, 94.8, back-to-back games, 90 plus QBR. That's insane. And you got something to say here?
Oh, well, I was saying that, yeah, everybody relax on the Avery thing, dropping the ball. I mean, just relax. It was a cold night. Avery's hands were cold.
I got something to say here. I got something to say about Will Howard. Obviously, we all wanted Avery to play earlier this season when Will Howard was struggling. We wanted to see what he could do, but let's not forget this is Will Howard's team.
Yeah,
this is Will Howard's team. Chris Kleiman said it a week ago that Will is the unquestioned leader of this team. He won a Big 12 championship last year. He started games in 4 consecutive seasons. He knows this offense. Colin Klein, there's a reason why he's a starter. There's a reason why he's putting him out there every single week. And Will's been dominating. I mean, he's basically been the player of the game in offense for almost every single game this season.
Yeah.
Will Howard looked phenomenal yesterday, and that is exactly what you want to see going forward into probably the biggest game of the season, playing at Texas, a top 10 team, a game that K-State basically needs to win to get to Arlington. Will Howard is playing at an unbelievable level the last couple games. Looking back to last year, I think he had 4 or 5 consecutive games at 90-plus QBR. He's done it twice here in the last 2 weeks. I'm interested to see what he does next week at Texas because away games are tougher. But Will Howard, this is Will Howard's team. He's playing amazing. And you said it a couple weeks ago when you were talking about what are K-State fans thinking, calling for Will Howard's head. He's responded in a very, very, very positive way, man.
Yeah, dude. I think he is at the point now where he's right where you want him to be in the middle, well, kind of the back half of the season. He's really come into his stride. I don't think we forget about Avery. I think giving the opposing team's defense different looks does throw them off. It's like really hard for a defensive coordinator to plan for 2 quarterbacks, especially when they can do both. They can do each other's jobs pretty well. Like,
yep.
Avery can throw, Avery can run, Will can throw, Will can run. So it makes it difficult to know exactly what's going to happen here. And yeah, man, I agree. I think coaches, they know a lot more about what's going on in practice, and they know what's best for their team. And I think I said it before, they're going to know who to put in there. Now, I did think you made a good point during the game when Avery dropped that ball. You wanted to see him at least get back in the game to at least not throw away his confidence, because he is the future of our team. But when he did fumble the ball and turn it over to the other team, you were like, man, I don't like the fact that they waited so long to get him back in the game. Basically, they waited until garbage time to put him back in.
They did. Wait until garbage time for sure. And like you said, I was saying I wanted Avery to go right back in the game to show that they got confidence in him. But, obviously they have a lot more confidence in Will right now, and Will's playing at an all-conference level. For sure, he's killing it. And, when he's in the game, how many touchdowns did he score last week? He was on the field for 4 out of the 5 touchdowns a week ago. And this week he was in there for 5 out of the 6 touchdowns. And so, it's great to see Will Howard playing great. This is his team. And I love to see it. I love the fact that he was able to respond basically in back-to-back years. Coming in last year for Adrian and dominating, and this year facing a lot of adversity halfway through the season. And he came right back into the gym, came back onto the field with the back against the wall with that chip on the shoulder mentality. And you love to see it. And I'm excited for him, and I'm excited for K-State going forward because he's playing great. And these last 4 games are going to be fun, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into our players of the game. We have our cat and dog of the game. For those that don't remember, our cat of the game is the offensive player of the game, and the dog of the game is our defensive player of the game. Now, we could have gone Will Howard here, but there's been a person that's been kind of nominated almost every single game. And after every single play, Ken Porter here decided to say something positive about this guy. We had to go with our cat of the game, DJ Giddens. No doubt about it. 13 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions, 25 yards, including that big third down on that opening drive, a catch of 23 yards. He is our cat offensive player of the game, Kenny.
Yeah, I had I was wanting him to do a lot more rushing yards, but we ended up pulling him out of the game pretty early. It's, at the end of the day, you want to see big stats, but K-State isn't really about the big stats on the players. We just want our team to win, and we'll save our players for the next week and the next week after that. It's longevity that we care about. And DJ, man, he put on a clinic. I think at one point he was already at 100 yards total at the half. He had I think it was 70 rushing yards and
75 and 25 basically.
Yeah. So it was basically 100 total yards. And I was like, he's going to get 200 yards or over 250 yards or whatever I said. And I think he could have easily if he would have just stayed in the game and taken all the rushing snaps. He was alternating with Ward. I think Ward couldn't really find his footing. He did score a touchdown though. Ward did get a pretty solid touchdown up the gut, which is interesting that they're using Ward in that way. But Giddens, man, you can't stop this guy when he's wearing purple. Absolutely. At home, you cannot. He goes home. DJ, he goes home. His mom is making some KC barbecue or something, homemade.
Maybe a homemade chili or something. Like
a homemade chili, like a barbecue or something. He is eating something that a homemade that his mom makes. He goes into the next day to the game, and he just puts on a crazy show. Every time he wears purple, DJ is the hot hand. And Absolutely. So I think he's going to be my eyes are going to be on him for this Texas game coming up, because during away games, he doesn't really show that well of a performance. And it's actually Ward that overperforms.
That's interesting that you say that, because I hadn't even thought about that. You're right. DJ Giddens has played a lot better at home and Trayshawn more on the road. And so I agree. I'm interested to see how DJ does this weekend at Texas.
And the reference that you can look back on is that Texas Tech game. DJ really wasn't really looking. I mean, where was he? And it was all Ward. And we were like, well, that's cool that they both get their moment to shine. But we just had 2 back-to-back home games, and DJ was putting on a clinic.
Absolutely.
DJ Giddens, you are the man this week. I think this is your second cat of the game this year. I think Will Howard still is leading the cat of the game with 3, with 4. Oh yeah, that's right.
And then Avery has 1 as well, obviously.
Avery's got 1. Will's got 1. Ben Sennett's got 1.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we haven't gone back and really done it every game, but we're doing.
We should get a graphic with their heads and then the count underneath it.
Yes, we should.
And just show the leaderboards of the cat of the game.
Cat food underneath of it.
Or tidy cats.
Cat paws. There we go. Cat paws.
Cat paws. There you go. I before we move on from cat of the game, I want to shout out the reason why I'm Ken Porter this week is because Seth Porter got his first touchdown this year. He gets such high praise from everybody in the locker room, outside of the locker room. Everybody loves this guy. And there was an interview done with Phillip Brooks, and he says that Seth Porter is the definition. He defines K-State football. And so that's super high praise, man, that both him and Phillip Brooks were walk-ons to K-State. They walked on together, and, seeing all the success that Phillip Brooks has had, and Seth Porter getting a lot of success on special teams, working his tail off, really being that that guy, kind of like the Rudy of the K-State football team. and then for him to come in and actually get a touchdown catch, that's huge. And you can't say anything more, but you just like super happy for him. I know that I'm happy for him. So I wanted to give him some shout out, some praise for a guy that totally deserves it. That was really special to see that. And we actually caught that on camera, man. We got it on film. It was super cool.
I'll try to pull it up here in just a minute as we're talking about defense player of the game. I'll try to see if I can pop it to the computer and pull it up here. But our defensive player of the game, our dog of the game. Now, you and I, we had kind of discussed this, gone back and forth about who it should be. And there's a player defensively that played phenomenal this game. I thought Austin Romaine played one of his better games. Desmond Purnell continues to impress. Both corners, Jacob Parrish dominating. Keenan Garber is now one of the starters, and he's been dominating. But there's a guy that's been kind of injured, going back and forth, and he was tied for third on the team in tackles. And he also got the lone interception in the game. Dog of the game has to be Will Lee. He was very, very, very impressive. I believe he leads the team in interceptions, or he's tied with Kobe Savage for the team lead with 2. He kept playing defense. I mean, there's hardly been that many, but he kept playing defense on that huge play where their quarterback just seemed to evade everyone, and Will Lee is just sticking to his guy, and Donovan Smith decides to throw it right at him. He catches it, gets about 15 yards. Will Lee had his back against the wall because Keenan Garber's been playing well, been starting now in place of him, but he has kept, his chin up, and he's kept working, getting back on the field. There was a few times K-State went with 3 corners on the field, which is interesting to see. They've not really done that this year. And he's played well. He's been rotating in. He is our dog defensive player of the game. Will Lee had a special performance.
Yeah, man. Seriously, the impressive thing is they don't show this in the stats, but when you try to throw to a guy like Will Lee, he is sticking to his guy, like white on rice, man. And then they try to throw the ball, and the receivers just had no way of getting to the ball. I mean, Will Lee, I think Keenan Garber was another one that was just super instrumental. They're not throwing it to Jacob Parrish.
No,
I think they threw it to Jacob one time and he just knocked it right out. He just batted it right down instantly. I mean, they're not going to throw it to Jacob Parrish. They're not going to throw it to Kobe Savage because they know what that means. It ain't going to go in their hands. So they're trying to throw it to these other guys, and these other guys are stepping up, like Will Lee. And to the degree that he gets an interception, takes it back for a few yards. But, man, super impressive by him, man. He was really instrumental, and a lot of stats don't show how well he was playing because he was flying around the field, man. It was amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. I'm still trying to get this video pulled up here. My computer's
going
slow. But we have to take a look back at our score predictions and hot takes. Yeah. My score prediction, and I'm sorry if there's some lagging going on here, Kansas internet. K-State, I had winning 38-17. I guess I didn't have, as much faith in our defense, which they've been dominating lately. And they obviously held them to 0 points.
Not me.
K-State won 41-0. So for the score that I gave, I was the closest. But Kenny, he was actually the person that was probably closer on this. I think K-State winning 51-7. Now, if K-State had, kept their foot on the gas, they probably would have got the 50 points, which would have been nice to see. But I was the closest, but we're going to say Kenny was the closest on the score prediction there because he had the most faith.
Because I had K-State winning by 44 points and K-State won by 41 points.
Yep. We will say that you definitely won that because you had, like you said, you were the closest there in terms of overall point spread and all of that. Here's a look back at the hot takes. I said Trayshawn Ward and DJ Giddens will score all of the touchdowns for K-State. Now they did combine. They combined for 3 touchdowns, which is what you love to see.
Yeah.
I said they were going to score 5. Somehow I also said K-State was going to have 2 defensive or non-offensive touchdowns, which does not go with the score prediction I gave. Obviously, that did not happen, but K-State did turn them over a couple of times. Now, looking at your hot takes, You said K-State is going to force 4 turnovers and possibly block a kick. Obviously, K-State only had two turnovers forced, and so I'm going to give you the win on that as well because you were closer on all of that.
All right, fair enough. Man,
Fair enough.
I'm getting these hot takes.
Yep.
These consistent hot takes each week. That's pretty good.
All right, I'm going to pull up this video real quick. This is Seth Porter's touchdown that we actually got a video of when you and I were watching it from the southeast end zone. We were walking over to see our guy, Mr. Savage. Here is the play: Avery Johnson to Seth Porter for his first touchdown as a Wildcat. So
that's so cool, man. It gives me goosebumps just seeing it's so cool to see a guy like who's worked so hard to finally achieve that kind of get that milestone, you know, where you work so hard for so long and to have that finally happen is super cool.
Absolutely, for sure. Let me see if I can pull up the scores here really quick, and then look, because we're going to look around the Big 12 because there were some pretty big games that happened in the Big 12 this weekend. Obviously, K-State's game was massive, but there were some other scores that were pretty big as well. Obviously, there was one just a little east of us that kind of shook up the conference here. Let me pull up the scores here. All right, here we go. Share screen. Here we go. Looking around the Big 12. All right, so obviously both of us picked K-State to win. K-State won 41-0. Now, you were a little closer on this score for Oklahoma and KU. I had KU losing by like 17 or 18 points. I think I said 45-28. And I think you said it was going to be like a touchdown game. I can't remember.
I said it's going to be close. I said it's going to be like 33-36 or something like that.
Oh, that's
yeah, it was like 30 or 33 or 33-36. And I said I wanted OU to win because I just can't. The DNA that runs through my veins cannot allow me to ever predict KU to win, even though they did pull it off. But yeah, my prediction was it was going to be a close game and it was going to be a field goal range in the 30s is what I was predicting.
So you were really freaking close there for sure, considering it was a 5-point game in the 30s. KU gets the win. Good for them. And we'll talk about it here after we go through all of the games. But there's a big game coming up here in a couple weeks for sure in Lawrence. Now, Texas did not have a bye like we thought. I forgot about this. They throttled BYU 35-6. Now, they did score a couple touchdowns late in that game to make it look a little bit more impressive than it was because, you know, it was like halfway through the fourth quarter. Texas was only up 21-6. They ended up winning 35-6. Malik Murphy, I don't feel like played that well in that game. He had an interception, about 150 passing yards. Not super impressive for his debut as a Texas quarterback, but nonetheless, Texas gets a 4-touchdown win. You know, we'll talk about it later this week. But someone asked us earlier. You know, let me pull it up here. Are we worried about Malik Murphy, Texas's new quarterback?
No,
I agree.
No, you know what I'm really excited about though?
Not at all.
And we can. What I'm really excited about in the future is the Avery Johnson versus Manning matchups. Oh, I guess we won't have that as often. Never mind, because they're not going to be in the SEC.
That would have been nice to see. That would have been really
so
nice
freaking cool, man. That would have been such a cool thing. But I mean, hopefully we do get some. Maybe we will get a Texas game like in the
a bowl game or something,
in the preseason or a bowl game.
Yeah. Moving on here, West Virginia gets a big win at UCF. I don't know how UCF was favored by 7. West Virginia rolls here, 41-28. UCF 0-5 in the Big 12. They have not won a game since September. They're quickly realizing Big 12 is big boy football, and maybe they weren't ready for it.
Well, and also this is the first time that they have lost 5 straight losses since 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What a terrible showing coming into a brand new conference. Yikes.
For sure. Moving on here, Iowa State gets a 30-18 win at Baylor. Kind of ugly, but nonetheless, Iowa State is tied atop the Big 12 standings at 4-1, which is not what you would
were
predict.
these all field goals? Were these all field goals?
No. So they had a touchdown. They had at least
No. I mean, like from Baylor.
Oh, I don't know. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
Were they all
I
field
doubt
goals?
it. I bet they went for see, here we go. 2 touchdowns rushing and 1 touchdown passing. They went for 2 every time, I think. So
what?
It's crazy. I know. Because I think they're trying to get back in it, you know what I mean? So
were they that far out in the first wait.
Yeah, so I mean
the first touchdown that they made. Wait, what was the score in the second quarter?
Let me just pull it up here real quick. I'm just gonna pull
You're like zoomed way out, dude. I can't see it. I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I can't see this.
Iowa State was up 17-0. Sorry, their PAT failed. That's why they had to start going for 2.
Okay. Well,
that makes sense.
I can't dog Baylor too much for missing the PAT because that happened to us.
Yeah.
God dang it, Chris Tennant. What's wrong with you? How do you miss those, man?
I would definitely miss those for sure.
Hey, there was a fan that made it. There was a fan that made it.
I agree. There was.
And he got $5,000 for it. What did Chris Tennant for making all those? Nothing. He just got like a scholarship. Man,
That's a pretty
take that
expensive
$5,000 right now.
That's a pretty expensive scholarship. And lastly,
it is expensive scholarship.
Lastly, Oklahoma State also tied atop the Big 12 at 4-1. They won 45-13, though they were only up 10-7 at halftime before Gundy must have lit a fire under their butts for the second half. They go up and score 5 touchdowns in the second half to win 45-13.
Dude, we all knew.
Maybe Oklahoma State's a little bit better than everyone thought.
No.
I still think K-State is a better team than Oklahoma State, despite Oklahoma State winning. They play 10 times.
We didn't have Avery. We didn't have Jacob Parrish in that game.
K-State probably wins 8 or 9 times out of 10. Honestly.
No, they win 9.8% of the time. Like that was literally a fraction of a percentage that they would have won that game. It was because we did not have Avery because we didn't know that he would be ready for that kind of gameplay, and we didn't have Jacob Parrish because he was injured. But dude, you put those guys in there, they don't make those plays. Also, Oklahoma State beating Cincinnati is not that big of a deal, dude. You basically just beat a high school team. Congratulations.
I mean, so looking at the new teams, Houston has a win against West Virginia, and then I think BYU has 1 or 2 wins. Let me pull it up here. They have 2 wins against the Big 12, one of which is against Cincinnati, and the other one against Texas Tech. So really, the newcomers really only have 2 legit wins against conference teams, and both of those wins are against the lower half of the Big 12.
Like legacy teams, like they've beaten
just one. They have one win against a legacy team.
And that was it's West Virginia.
No, it was Texas Tech because West Virginia joined, not that long ago, but Texas
Tech.
Yeah,
I guess. Oh, yeah. Texas Tech is the only one. And let's be honest, Texas Tech is a walking dumpster fire right now. They are.
Their fans are pissed off right now. Their head coach, Joey McGuire.
Yeah, at least with Baylor, the fans are like, yeah, we just suck this year. Whatever. Like they just accept it. They just accept that they suck. This is not the same Baylor that was back in 2012. Same Baylor that was back in those early 2000 teens. This Baylor is terrible. But hey, shout out to Iowa State, man. No one at the beginning of this season would have ever predicted this.
No, I know I didn't. After they lost to Ohio, I think you said they lost to.
I know I didn't predict this at all.
No, for sure. Now, I have a question for you. Here. And it pains me to ask this because I'm the biggest K-State fan there is. How worried should K-State fans be about playing KU here in a couple of weeks? KU has looked enormously better the last, year or two. They have a bunch of non-offensive touchdowns. I think they have like 3 or 4. K-State has 0. KU plays a lot better at home. They just beat OU. How worried should K-State fans be about playing KU here in a couple of weeks?
Well, not to like completely ruin our pre-show or pre-game our pregame, show or anything like that, but just to kind of give you a very simple answer. We should not be worried about KU, but we should respect KU in the sense that we can't just go in and expect to win. This is not you can't just expect to go in and win, like to beat KU. That's what OU did, and that's what you saw what happened. They tore the dang field goal down. So this is the longest win streak in college football right now. We have got to keep that going. Okay,
Yep,
like
14 straight. Let's make it 15.
And I know, I thought it was 17, but we'll take 14. I know that KU is going to want this win so bad. And I believe that K-State is not going to just give it to them. This is the biggest rivalry in the Big 12, I would say. I think this is big, way bigger than OU and Texas, is way bigger than Oklahoma State and OU. This is the biggest rivalry in terms of like how dominant K-State's been in football and how dominant KU's been in basketball. We cannot let KU beat us in football. It
cannot happen.
It cannot happen. Now, I said we shouldn't worry about them because those turnovers, those were unforced. That was just OU playing really
They take a lot of chances. KU takes a lot of chances defensively, and that's why they're giving up 30-plus points. But you also get rewarded with some pick sixes.
Sure. However, we like to run the ball, so there's the difference. Okay, so I don't think we should be worried, but we should not expect to just go in there and just walk all over them. They're a solid team. They're a solid team this year, and we need to give them the respect of a solid team. Okay, we can't just expect to win. And I don't think this K-State team is acting in that way. I think we may have done that against Missouri. We may have underestimated Missouri, and coming out of our bye week, we may have underestimated Oklahoma State, and it bit us in the ass both games. We cannot allow that to happen, especially all of our away games are like the toughest games that we have on our schedule.
Yep, I agree.
And we have got to be prepared. Next week, huge. Next week is so much more important than KU. But yeah, I don't think we'll be – what did he say?
He said, I don't think we're going to lose. Our defense is much better than OU's. You clicked on the same time as me.
Yes. Well, and that's true. Our defense is outstanding.
Top 20 offensive scoring, top 20 defensive scoring.
Are they going to have their quarterback? I
don't know. I don't think so.
So, okay.
I think he's done, but who knows, honestly.
But even if he comes back in, he hasn't been in a rhythm for a while, so that might bode well for us. There's a lot of issues going on. The thing is that K-State has really they're like in their stride right now. We know we have like an identity, and we know what we're good at, and we know. I feel like we're just firing exactly how we need to fire on the cylinders that we're firing on. Like if Avery's not doing well, sorry.
That's all right. Keep going.
Demonetized.
Keep spitting.
If Avery's not firing on the cylinders, guess what? We're gonna bring in Will. If Will's not firing, then Avery's gonna come in. Like they feed off really well. Or we're just gonna start handing it off. We know that Giddens or Ward are gonna take over. Ben Sennett, it looks like he's coming back. They were pretty conservative with him in the game. They didn't want to, put too much on him because he was a little banged up from the game before. But I imagine give him a week off, give him another week. By the time he's in KU, I think we're going to get back to NFL Ben Sennett again. So I think
they've been kind of hiding him a little bit. He's ready to break out.
Yeah, and you know what's amazing is that I said this. I think I said this in the last episode. I said we should not show anything. We should not show anything. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's why they didn't play Avery that much.
Maybe, man. They definitely
Maybe
showed a
that's
lot
why
less.
they didn't play Avery that much, because they do not want to show too much to
Sure.
Texas. You want to leave as least amount of film on this threat that we have, this freaking weapon by the name of Avery Johnson. You want to leave you don't want to leave as much. You want to leave out as much film as possible, so that way when you go into that game,
Texas and KU, because those are the two biggest games of the season. Both of them.
I think you pull out all the stops against Texas. I think you got to do it all. You got to give it everything there. Pull out all the stops against that team, because that's the big one. And then KU is just capitalizing on that. Now, we will have a week in between. We'll have Baylor. So we'll have Texas, Baylor, then Kansas. And I think, we can't overlook any team ever, but I think Texas and then going into Baylor back at home. I think that's going to be a really good break in between. And then after Texas, we're in Kansas the rest of the month of November. So,
right, absolutely. K-State's got 2 home games, 2 away games. One of those away games is at KU, and you and I have talked about going. I think those ticket prices are only going to keep going up. Maybe we should have bought them already, so maybe we'll just watch it at your house or my house or something.
We got to watch it at your place. You watched it at my place one time. Well, actually,
yeah, let's go.
Actually, I might have to watch the Texas game at your house, because my daughter is having a huge birthday party at my house.
Right. So
they're going to be taking over the TV. So we'll have to watch it at your place, and then maybe the KU game we'll watch it at my place. So there you go.
Okay. Well, hopefully.
But yeah, to answer your question about worrying about KU, we shouldn't worry about them, but we should at least respect them as a good team this year. We got to call a spade a spade. Too many teams are going and thinking that they're just going to put hurting on KU, and they don't. KU answers the call.
Robbie Schultz said it best here. The KU trolls are already obnoxious. Yeah, they've been obnoxious since they started 5-0. And I was ready, man. I was freaking ready. So they start 5-0. They lose 2 straight, looking like they're going to lose to Oklahoma. K-State had just beat Houston yesterday. K-State's already at 6 wins before KU was. When K-State started 3-2, I was ready to hit a submit tweet. Look at this. K-State starts 3-2. Gets to 6 wins before KU does when they start 5-0. Now, technically, K-State did get to 6 wins before KU did because of the time change, and they had a delay and all that. But that's beside the point. I really thought they were going to lose. And their fans have been obnoxious. But the team for KU, they've been impressive. They have impressed me this year. They had some chances, even in the third quarter against Texas a couple weeks ago. They had their chance against Oklahoma State. They had their chance yesterday against OU, and they finally won. They've been impressive. I think this year's game is going to be a very, very difficult battle, and we'll talk about it more as we get closer. We'll even dive into that one game we talked about, how there's a disputed game between KU and K-State. And I do agree, K-State KU is probably the biggest rivalry left in the Big 12 after OU and Texas leave. We can talk about BYU and Utah. That's a big rivalry, but they're just joining the conference. We're looking at teams from the beginning. K-State, KU is probably the biggest rivalry, football, basketball, all of it in the entire new Big 12. And it's going to be a huge game. I'm excited about it. I'm excited that KU's finally making it, a big game. K-State's done it a few times in basketball, but, K-State has not beaten KU in football since I was, I think, a sophomore in college.
You mean KU hasn't beaten?
Sorry, KU's not beaten K-State in football since I was a sophomore or junior in college, and I'm turning 36 in a couple of weeks. That's how long it's been. That's how long it's been, man. It is absolutely crazy how long K-State's been beating KU, and you love to see it, and hopefully K-State does it again. But, for me, how worried am I? I'm about 30%, 30 to 40% worried. I know KU has some.
We're putting percentages on it,
but I still like K-State to win 6, 7, 8 times out of 10. I think K-State's a better team. There's going to be a ton of K-State fans there. K-State is definitely going to help them get to a sellout, make their stadium look full, because they couldn't even do that for OU. So I'm not super worried about it. They're a better team.
Yeah, dude, their fans left. Their fans left after the delay.
Yeah, K-State fans left at halftime because we were
different reasons though. Different reasons.
Touchdowns. It was cold. Their fans left because of the delay. I understand there's things people got to do. It's the weekend. It's the biggest.
But you're
game.
going against
It's the
number
biggest win in
6.
25 years. What are they doing leaving, man?
It's also you're
My
going against
goodness.
you're going against the big you're going against the number 6 team in the country. You're leading the team going into the delay, and this, like, what you said, 25 years, like, wasn't in the 80s.
The last time they beat OU was 1997.
No. I'm saying the last time they beat a top 10 team was in the 80s, right? Or the 70s.
Yeah, so they've been like 99-1 against top 10 teams. Like it had been, like you said, like the 80s since they beat a top 10 team, which is crazy to think about. Crazy.
It's so
yeah. I don't know what their fans are doing.
And their fans left. Their fans left. That
right?
You won't see that at K-State. You won't see that at K-State. You won't see that.
Man. This is a good question. We'll talk about it as we do our pregame video for K-State versus Texas this week. Does KU win in Ames on Saturday? I don't know. We'll talk about it. But if not, their fans might not show up against us. They're still going to show up for us. They're still going to be there when K-State plays KU. No doubt about it. I do think that's the type of game, though. If we're to answer your question, whoever's the home team is probably going to win that. Unfortunately for KU, Iowa State is the home team. So early pick, I got Iowa State winning by at least 3 points. So before we get out of here, we need to touch on a few things. It was announced today that Naquan Tomlin was arrested last night in Aggieville for, I think, fighting. So this is the first time you've heard this.
What?
He was, which is not what you want to see when you got a big recruit in town, Patrick Ngangba or something. I don't know how to say his last name. That is not what you want to see. But K-State does have their first, I think, non-con game, or not con, exhibition game coming up in another week or so. It might even be this week. I don't know. We're going to do a show on that coming up here. We're probably going to do another show, obviously, on K-State versus Texas this week. And also be on a lookout for us changing the name of our YouTube channel to KSU Nation. We feel like that's a better way for K-State fans to find us. 69%, 69% of K-State fans on Twitter told me that we should change our name to KSU Nation. Now, our podcast will still be called The Purple Pod. That is not changing. Shout out to Kenny for coming up with both The Purple Pod and KSU Nation. We just feel like more K-State fans are going to find us. So if you see us change the name over the next couple days, that is why. So, Kenny, got anything else before we get out of here, bro?
No, I think we covered the game really well. It was a really fun weekend, despite it being ice cold, freezing our nuts off. It was still a good time. I had a blast walking around, meeting everybody, and just enjoying the the fans, the fandom. It's there's nothing like it, man. K-State fans are the best fans on the planet, dude. They really are.
No doubt about it. It was a lot of fun on Saturday. It was great getting to see, like I said, I'll pull up the photo one more time. Great getting to see Mr. Dayon Savage in person. That was fun. It was great getting to hang out with you at a K-State game. Now, are you planning to be at the K-State Baylor game in a couple weeks? Because
I am. I'm definitely going to be there. I'm actually bringing my whole family. My dad is a veteran. So shout out to him.
Oh, Fort Riley Day.
Yeah, and of course, it is November 11th, which is Veterans Day, and also it is Fort Riley Day at K-State. That home game is Fort Riley Day, so which they always do Fort Riley Day in the year,
right?
At K-State, and so I was like, I want to take my dad to that, and it just happened to land on Veterans Day, so it was a really cool sequence of event. Everything, like the stars aligned, really.
Absolutely.
And it looks like it's going to be, as far as weather is concerned, it looks like it's supposed to be better weather conditions. I think they said high 50s, low 60s for the game that day. So
perfect.
For everybody that's interested in going, or you're thinking about going, I already looked into the future forecast, and we got the script.
We got the script.
And K-State's obviously going to win out from here on to the season. So, I mean, I don't want to reveal too much with what's in the script, but yeah, the script was given to Steve and I And you know, it is what it is. I already told you. I told you that we were going to destroy. We were going to destroy Houston, and I mean that's just the way it is. And then I'll tell you what the script says on Tuesday. Until then, my name is Ken.
I'm Steve.
And you just watched the Purple Pot. Let's go, Cats, baby! Let's go, Cats!
Let's go, Cats, baby!
Damn,